Great Academy for English, Chapter 3, as it were, corresponding to your notes, Part A. I'm going to explore how to do Comprehending A and how to read the exam paper intelligently. Now, the first thing you do is browse across the paper. So it's worthwhile highlighting what is the theme of the paper, and that's the notion of different worlds. So you browse down quickly and you kind of get a sense of each text. You look at the introduction, very quickly scan it, and highlight the notion of, okay, you're dealing with two images here, and you're looking at what, and they're from a website, and the whole topic is the world of poetry. Okay, so you very quickly move on. There's a bit of a text with it. You can see the second one, connected world. It's all about free speech, that notion of free speech. Does that appeal to you? So he writes about free speech in the typical global city, right? In the digital global city. So that may sort of be catchy. And then you look at, maybe we're all neighbours now. You get a sense of the style of that. That seems very straightforward. There are more phones than there are human beings, so the language seems very clear and simple enough as you go down through it. You might have done the same with the language of the first one. And in the third one, the world of childhood, I've already highlighted it there. It's a memoir, and it focuses upon the world of childhood. So having done that, it's a good idea then to have a quick scan of composing, just to kind of get yourself composed. You read down to them and see which ones are possible for you, and maybe just then put a highlight around one that you think you might do. So let's pretend you were very keen on writing short stories, so you kind of take note of that one for yourself for further on, and you have a sense then that it's working at the back of your mind, some notion that's dwelling in your head. This will relate to chapter 5 later on in the series. So then you go back. Before you really get into comprehending A and all the choices involved, I think it's a good idea to look at the comprehending Bs and get that choice out of the way. So you look at each of them and take stock of them and highlight. So when you read this question B, you see that it boils down to what's highlighted in green. Write an article for your school's website. So think of the audience for that. That would imply a certain informality of language without being too informal, in which you explain your choice of poetry, your ideas for its display, and the impact you hope this project will have on the school community. So, and you've already kind of taken in it in the first statement that it's a project that you've suggested to your school principal, choosing poetry that you're going to display in the school, and it's quite inspired by the passage above. So you might or might not like that, but you say that's a running possibility. The next comprehending B, then you'd likewise highlight. So you're working on the notion of people today holding views that are often influenced by the news and the information they receive online, the internet, etc. Write an opinion piece for publication in a national newspaper, in which you give your views on the extent to which people today rely on the online world as a source of news and information, the reliability of these sources, and the impact of this development on society. You see the way, having highlighted the overall task, I've underlined the three parts of it, as I did indeed for the one above as well. So all of that is very good practice in terms of setting yourself up for the tasks ahead. And then likewise with the third one, you see it's participating in a radio program. So it should be a script for something that's ultimately very conversational. Can you write that type of English on an exam paper? If you can't, then you won't use this for question B. If you can, if it's your forte, this may be your question B. And you highlight the three tasks, and you can pause the presentation to just study the highlighting there yourself. Question B normally has three tasks, and it's always very important to pitch the language accurately for the actual audience. All of this will be expanded upon in chapter 4. So already at the start of the exam paper, you've taken in a theme, possibly made a choice for composing, and chosen your comprehending B. The reason for that is you can't do comprehending B and A on the same text. So it's very good to make your choice of comprehending B, and then to eliminate that passage then from your consideration for comprehending A. So let's pretend then that you have decided on question B for text 1, as highlighted and underlined there. So you leave out comprehending A for text 1, and you're looking at comprehending A for the next 2 texts. And let's say you had been, because you like this, the notion of a childhood world and a memoir, that your eye was caught mostly by that one, and that you're hoping to do it now that you've already got a different comprehending B choice. So therefore, this one is open to you. So do you see, all of this is saving time, and it's using time very precisely to make choices that are in your best interest. So it's a good idea then to put a sort of some kind of a highlighter, as I'm doing here, a ring around the main task of the question. What characteristics of a child's world does Paul Auster convey in the above extract? So that's pretty much an information kind of hunt, isn't it? There should be plenty of that in there. And the next one, Paul Auster states that 6 is far and away the best age anyone can be. In your opinion, is there a best age to be? That's an opinion piece, not too related at all to the passage, and you could indulge yourself in your memories. Hopefully inspired by the passage in terms of the quality of what you will write. I think you should try to take inspiration for the approach in the passage to enhance how you would otherwise do this. Because without that passage, you might write more flat. Having read the passage and maybe doing questions 1 and 3 before number 2, you're in rare writing form and focused. So it all depends on question 3. If you like question 3, you're going to take this one on. If question 3, the style question, is not something you're comfortable with, skip it and say, right, okay, those 2 or 3 minutes are just part of the preparation, and leave it aside, and I go and do the same breakdown of the questions on text 2, which is the other remaining text really in terms of my pathway on the exam paper. So question 3 is, Paul Auster makes effective use of aesthetic language to create charming and reflective memoir. So I might be somebody who likes to explore language and to pick up on that kind of language. So based on your reading of the above extract, do you agree with this statement? Support your answer with reference to Paul Auster's use of aesthetic language in the above text. So highlighting it like that to create a charming and reflective memoir. And I think I'd underline the notion of charming and reflective as well. So now I have myself totally focused on the tasks. I have a lot of work done. I'm maybe 10, 12 minutes at least into the exam paper, but all this first 20 minutes really is kind of pre-writing. It's very valuable. It's strategically kind of crucial. So the next thing you do then is read the passage intelligently, picking out information that's relevant for the tasks. So in the beginning, everything was alive. The smallest objects were endowed with beating hearts, and even the clouds had names. Now, there are a couple of things going on here. There's certainly a memory of childhood going on there. And I could actually instead index it for question 3, the beautiful writing, very expressive and appealing to me. It lets me know. Anyway, let's pretend it would have let me there, because on the exam paper you're just using a handwriting anyway. So you could put out a 1 or 3 beside that particular piece of writing. You could put both, because you're building up a kind of a whole indexed kind of set of material and quotes. Scissors could walk, telephones and teapots were first cousins, eyes and eyeglasses were brothers. Okay, that's all very nice, isn't it? It's very kind of, there's a lot of personification, so there's very aesthetic language in that. So you could write in number 3 there. I don't want to mess up this now too much. So you can do it. Well, look, it's sort of kind of done there like that. You get my idea. Question 3 then highlighted there. You'll have that out in your index for when you come back afterwards. So when you go back, when you've read the whole passage, you already see in the first paragraph that there's good material for question 1 and there's good material for question 3. Now, I'll just give it an example. It'll be a distraction. Any informal way to all you have of marking and indexing. So moving on then, second paragraph, your earliest thoughts, remnants of how you lived inside yourself as a small boy. That notion of living inside yourself, that's a very aesthetic kind of exploration, isn't it, for you as a kind of an adult mind reading this. You can remember only some of it, brief flashes of recognition that surge up in you unexpectedly. That's very nice writing, isn't it? Flashes and surge, very aesthetic. So the language is very powerful in engaging you. So that's really good for question 3. So you could put your imaginary put there 3, 1, 2, 3. As highlighted there. So etc. Keep carrying on like that as you go through it, indexing the entire passage, and then you'll have a large amount of numbers 1s and 3s too, choose from. I'm going to give you a very quick shortcut, almost a cheat, by looking at the marking scheme here for that. So for the aesthetic language, and this is going to be on the presentation for you to look at and pause and consider a great list of suggestions for aesthetic language on a marking scheme. Now, if you take them and find them in the passage as you read it very closely, then you're going to learn a lot about aesthetic language, and you're going to learn how the indicative material is tremendously helpful in you developing your critical awareness for when your turn comes to do a Leaving Cert answer. So a whole series of points. Likewise, I just go back up. So you'd pause on that and have a look at it. And likewise up here for question 1. Characteristics of a child's world conveyed by Paul Auster include. So all these wonderful, concise suggestions in the marking scheme, you can go back and find them in the passage and kind of do your own indexing. Presumably you have the actual copy of this, which I supply as as a corresponding chapter in the notes, and then you can use your own pen and kind of work on it like that. So the whole purpose of this particular presentation has been to show you how to scientifically prepare yourself to tackle paper 1. So I hope you've got that now, and you will appreciate then the analysed samples that follow in the next chapters. Thank you for your attention here from the Great Academy. Over and out for now. Happy learning in the meantime.